Good evening and welcome to Dad Bods, Crab Cakes, and Sports. Jason here with Mike and John. And boys, I am back. I am back after a week and a half or so hiatus. I'm back by popular demand. I've gotten way too many emails, text messages, and people were putting my face on a milk carton, Mike. They couldn't find me.
Well, I'm glad your ATIS was high and not low, so that's good. I'm glad that you had a
Always
good
good.
ATIS. Yeah, no, we missed you, buddy. I told John to cue the M&M tonight. Jason's back. He's back again. I love it.
Fabulous. And
Yeah, I didn't
John,
see
what?
her face at a Walmart. I was at Walmart. I didn't see her face on the board. So,
Oh
I
God.
was I was pretty sure you were coming back at some point.
Walmart's a scary place these days. Oh, my face is on a Walmart board. I got a lot bigger problems than I need to admit with my life. Oh, goodness. Hey,
How was
speaking of
Ocean City, New
Walmart,
Jersey, buddy? How was
well,
your
hold on.
trip?
Hold on. Let's take it back. Let's just take one step back. Speaking of Walmart, has anyone been to the Dundalk Walmart? Raise your hand if you've been to the Walmart in Dundalk, Maryland.
I've been to the
Mike, you haven't
Sam's
been there?
Sam's Club, but not Walmart there. No.
Oh my gosh. Let me just tell you, I'm trying to be nice to everybody. I love y'all. I actually lived in Dundalk for a very short period of time. But if you really are looking to like get like socially, like emotionally, you need a lift. Just walk in the front door of the Dundalk Walmart. And that's really all I have to say about that for today. But yeah, Mike, the trip was terrific. The trip was great. It was a good little reset for the most part. But as I said, it's always exhausting when you have to travel. Like we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and yet we fly to Ocean City, New Jersey, but it's a lot more than that. It's that even though Florida is great for beaches and all this stuff, there isn't a lot. Like they don't have that beach town, that one town where you can park your car and you can walk. Like Madeira Beach down here is close to that, but then there's like it reminds me a lot of like Ocean City with that one main highway. So if you're like tucked behind, you still have to like walk across to get to the beach. We did run when we were in between houses, we had an Airbnb in Madeira Beach for about 2 months, and it was fabulous. I went to the beach every day because I literally walked across the street to the beach. So anytime you can do that, it just makes something. It makes it a lot better. And I mean, I've been going to Ocean City, New Jersey since I was apparently since before I could walk, talk, and do all of this. So it's a good tradition to keep up. But it's good to be back. So, John, what have you been up to since I've been gone? You selling a lot of car, or what you doing there?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Selling a lot of cars here in Florida. The months of June and July are very slow because people are leaving to avoid the heat, and the kids aren't back yet for school and things. So now in August, things start picking up, and so we're moving cars pretty quickly, pretty well, before we still have some inventory that hasn't had tariffs on it yet. So people are hopping on those nice vehicles without the tariffs. But it's all's well in love and war.
Oh, perfect. And I'm glad to see that that you kept Florida in this one piece while I was gone. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we didn't
Uh,
drift off into the Caribbean at all or anything like that.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
To be
yet.
continued.
Yep.
Mike, what about you? I see by my calendar that we're getting ramped up here for soccer season for the little ones and for the high schoolers. Am I correct?
Yeah, we gave them a little bit of a break for the last 2 weeks as we get ready. Let them have a little bit of a respite before we kick it into gear next week. But yeah, I'm coaching the little kiddos. I like that part. It's kind of a break from the high school kids. But today I got to attend. We went up to Philly. I took the kids to the Jason. You talked to me about Legoland down in your world. There's a smaller version of that in Philadelphia I found, and so we went up at like 10 a.m. today and did a little bit of a Legoland. There's no rides, there's no like water park or any of that kind of stuff, but they have a bunch of different like stations for the kids to do. They have Ninjago stuff. They had like a 4D movie and some interactive stuff. So we did that for about an hour or two, and then went over to the Phillies O's matinee 12:30 today up in Philly. So Um, I gotta give a shout out to my kids. They're just so well behaved. We had a good time. They don't ask for things. They don't complain. We just, I've seen so many kids that do that kind of stuff, but I have to give a shout out to my kids because we had a great time today up in Philly. Seal had a cheesesteak at the stadium. She was not a fan. There were sesame seeds on it. I don't know if she wasn't used to the type of cheese, but or maybe she's just not a cheesesteak person. But I love cheesesteak. It's probably why I look like the way I look. But I ate the part she didn't want, so I took care of the dad tax on that one.
Well, a traditional cheesesteak from Philly doesn't have like sesame seeds and stuff. I don't know what they're doing there. Like that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's that fancy roll that they have, or it's not really fancy. What's it? Amoroso rolls, and then it's ribeye steak and cheese whiz or provolone, whichever you like, or American. Some people do American, and then fried onions with or without. So,
Yeah.
I like it all. Give me it all. I want it all. I want the whiz. I want the onions. I want the whole thing. But yeah, I mean that. Too bad you guys didn't have like if your kids were like love cheesesteaks, then like there's so many places you guys could have hit up before you got into the stadium. But it is what it is. That's cool.
Yeah. We got stuck with stadium cheesesteak. I mean, there's a place called Del Rossi's I absolutely love, kind of in a not great area of Philly, but we found that accidentally once and amazing. But this was a stadium cheesesteak. I think it was called Charlie's something or other. They have Chicky and Pete's in there. They have a bunch of different stuff in the stadium. You know some of those names, Jason, from your Ocean City days because a lot of that Philly Jersey stuff's reciprocal. But it was okay. But the ball game itself today, man, you're looking like a genius with the Trevor Rogers thing right now because I just looked at a stat. Through his first 10 starts, he has the best ERA in the modern era of any Baltimore Orioles starting pitcher through their first 10 starts of the season. He has a 1.44 ERA, a 0.83 whip, and 62 innings pitched in 10 starts. So he's averaging over 6 innings a start. I mean, really impressive. And to watch him pitch today against Schwarber and Harper, a couple of times he made them look stupid. It was really awesome to see. He had a little bit of trouble with Trey Turner at the top of the order, but those two guys, man, he just ate them up and spit them out.
Yeah, I mean the righty-lefty matchup. I mean that's always something like you want to stack as much as possible. And Schwarber and Harper, I mean, they're as good as they get right now. But but being lefty with the lefty-lefty matchup, they're already at a disadvantage in my eyes. Yeah, I mean the Trevor Rogers thing, it was just so hard for me to write that trade off as like what are they doing? Like I couldn't do it because to give up two prospects and then look at Stowers, he's doing well. Like Norby, I mean, yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. Like time will tell, maybe. However, to give up those two guys for a guy that they must have seen something, they're like, okay, look, he was an all-star his rookie year. He pitched extremely well. There's something there, John, that they could tweak and they could do. So for me, I was beating the drum like Mike and I and a buddy of ours were on Jim Isfording. We were on a group chat and they're like, what the hell are we doing? And I'm like, I don't know. And then the immediate results weren't there because he just wasn't able to do what they wanted him to do last year and early on this year with his injuries. So when they finally got him ready, I mean, this could be, I don't know if this is the real Trevor Rogers because if so, I mean, he's competing with him and Bradish at the top of the rotation look pretty good to me. So I don't know, John, like if we're somewhere in between or if this is the real Bradish route. Wow. If this is a real Trevor Rogers.
I don't know, but I love what I see. I mean, here's something too that I was thinking about this as I was reading some stuff about the game today and his pitching, and then Mike mentioned, he's, one of the best top first 10 starts as an Oriole. Right now there's not a lot of pressure. There's not a lot of pressure on any of these guys because that they're out of contention. We're not even competing for a wild card. So you can just go out and pitch without any pressure on you. And so what I would be interested in seeing is, okay, this is what we're getting out of Rodgers now without pressure. But let's say we get, next year we get into a stretch where, we're on top of the division or we're a game or two out, can we call Rodgers and say, Rodgers, we need, 6 innings, 7 innings out of you in a high profile game under a ton of pressure? Can he perform? And that's going to me going to be the big thing with him is, can he do that? Can he come out in a big game, or is he going to be, okay, we're great when we're not good, Ubaldo Jimenez style. He was great in Colorado, and then you put him under pressure and he just couldn't handle it. Is that what we're going to get out of him too?
Oh, I don't think so, John. I don't agree with you at all. I'm sorry. Because when you're a major league player, like there's pressure every day to stay in the major leagues. There's pressure every day to play for your teammates, to play for each other. There's pressure every day to collect a paycheck. And there's pressure every day to collect $300 million when you're one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So that's what everyone's striving for. There's never not a pressure situation. And they brought him up. He's been pitching even before they were out of it. Like before they committed to trading away things. So yeah, Mike, for me, it's, I'm very impressed. You saw him today live, but and tell me if I'm wrong, he just looks totally in control. Like he's in charge on the mound. He dictates what happens.
No, that's a really good point, Jason. And it's rhythm. Like he looked like he was in rhythm. Everything he does is really smooth right now. So even when he has a guy on base, when he's looking over at first, like everything is in rhythm. When he goes with his leg kick, it's all smooth. The timing is there. His release point's there, and he's letting that he's got the changeup. He's got good movement on the fastball. He looks like he's hitting his spots, and he feels really comfortable hitting the spots. And I know, John, that you're saying these aren't necessarily big games, but being in Philly today, that's not an easy place to pitch. Those fans are loud and rowdy all the time. Oriole fans did make themselves known. I think there was a good 10 to 15% of the crowd that was probably Oriole fans today. But still, in that ballpark in an afternoon game, people are taking off work, and he's only making I think $2.6 million this year. He needs to earn a real contract still, man. So he's got a lot to pitch for still. Each and every start is like an audition for him to make that be the big part of that starting rotation next year. I think obviously right now with the way he's pitching, he's a part of the starting rotation next year, but he could be an anchor for the Orioles if he continues to pitch the way he's pitching right now, an anchor that they really need. And I know we're going to talk about this later because they need to fill out 5 pitchers next year that are a lot better than what we got going on this year.
It's funny because they talk about, like, everyone out there, including us, we've talked about extensions for players. I mean, to me, if the Orioles have seen enough and they're happy with his health, this could be one of those sneaky extensions. And it would behoove them to do it before he puts up a couple seasons where he's putting himself, because again, no one's going to convince me that you're going to sign a pitcher for 7-8 years, more than 5 years on a pitcher for crazy money. Pitchers are too injury prone for me. I just can't do it. I'm never going to agree with it. But like, if you could get him here, like buy out these years, get him rolling. I mean, for me, that'd be one of those sneaky ones. So, also in this game, I believe they won 5-1 today. Kobe Mayo, big 3-run home run. He seems like he's getting a little more comfortable, John. I mean, here's one of those things too that I will agree with you if you go down this road. Talk about not having a lot of pressure. It sounds like he's going to be in the lineup the majority of the time. Now, when Mountcastle comes back, not so sure what they do. If they put him between first base, DH, between O'Neill and Mountcastle and whatnot, but those are 3 right-handed hitters. So, I mean, they probably try to find room for all of them when they're playing in against lefties.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, if Mountcastle had been healthy, I don't know, we had talked about this back, I think, before he got hurt. But Mountcastle was probably somebody who would have got dealt between Mountcastle and O'Hearn. O'Hearn got dealt, I think, because he was healthy. I think if Mountcastle's healthy, I think there's some teams that are going to come calling for him, would have come calling for him at the trade deadline. But I think, I think Mayo at first just makes sense for the time being. And he's going to be, until he can cement himself with a solid bat for an extended period of time, he's going to kind of make the rounds between first and third and DH, and I I liked his swings today. He seemed, everything seemed to be right in tune, right in line. And I think that, if this is the Mayo that we're going to get, and I think this is one of the Mayo we expected, or that's at least some within the organization expected. And I think, he could be very valuable because of his ability to play both corners on the infield, and then, maybe teach him how to play right field or something else that could, kind of take that O'Hearn slot, and then we can use that for another, whoever else we need out there.
I don't know, Mike, what are your thoughts? Because John, I don't mean to just disagree with you. I think Kobe Mayo needs to stay out of the outfield. I mean, maybe I'm okay with. I think he's handled himself well at first base. I mean, obviously Mountcastle was a borderline Gold Glover out there, and again, they're just, you want these guys. I told you guys last show that I was on that you want the last half of the year. You want momentum, offensive momentum going into next year. So anything these guys can do to build something up for that. I mean, it's like with the last game of the year right before they went on that couple-year playoff run with Buck Showalter with, who was it, Andino? Like right there, you had all that momentum and something to look forward to. So for me, Mike, seeing what these guys, like having Mayo out there more, like I'm not necessarily in the wagon of like bringing all these minor leaguers up and just throwing them in there, like, because I do think continuity and building something is very important for what these guys need to be doing.
Well, I mean, with Kobe Mayo, watching him, he ambushed that ball today. Like it was, he had a couple guys on base and he attacked that first pitch. And it was a lefty-righty matchup against Suarez. And, it was gone. Like the left fielder turned around. He did not move. Like he was like, it's gone. Because it was hard to tell from the angle I was sitting at if it was going to go out. And then I just looked at the left fielder. I'm like, oh man, that's gone. And it just was a rocket. It was great to see Kobe. It kind of looks a little bit looser, I would say. Even at first base, he made a couple picks today. I know that he had an issue with, they said, on the broadcast the other day, if he stretched a little bit further, he could have maybe saved a play over the beginning of the week on another of those games that we played. But I thought he had a couple good picks today. And he looks a little more comfortable every day he's over there. And I'm okay with him at first base, John. I'm not sure we should move him around very much. I think first base DH is a great place maybe to settle with him, especially if he's going to produce with the bat. And if he's not going to produce with the bat, then you just move on. You try to find somebody else who's going to do it. When you have options like Basayo in the minor leagues and some of those guys down there who are hitting the cover off the ball. Jason, John, and I talked about that a little bit last episode. Just why aren't we bringing up Basayo and Beavers? And I did a little research. There's that player incentive program thing where they have draft picks available if you get Rookie of the Year, top 3 Cy Young, that kind of stuff going on. But you have to be on 2 of the 3 Baseball America Top 100 publications to qualify for that. And you have to have 60, I think I said is the magic number, 60 days, fewer than 60 days of MLB service. So they're now to the point where they can bring those guys up with the service days, but Beavers isn't yet on that top 100 list on 2 of those 3. So they might be waiting to see, because Beavers is playing so well. Maybe he can pop on to one of those top 100 or 2 of those top 100 publications. And then next year, give them an opportunity to earn an extra draft pick. That's the way I think Mike Elias thinks a lot of the time. So I think you might see both of them come September call-ups, but I don't think that you're going to see it Beavers, even though he has shown, I think, everything he needs to defensively, everything he needs to offensively. And Basayo, I think you're just wanting to see him play a little bit more defense behind the plate down there in the minors before you call him up. But I would love to see Beavers. Watching Dylan Carlson run around out there today, man, he is kind of a joke of a center fielder. Like, I watched him misplay a line drive to his right today that he kind of had like halfway up the body. It wasn't a great play on the ball. I mean, I'm not sure it's not a can of corn. It wasn't routine, but it looked off as far as an outfielder making that play. And then he has an issue with his swing right now. I don't know if he's dipping his shoulder or if he's not getting on top of the baseball, but he's popping every single thing up. I think he's 1 for his last like 30. So he's not doing much good for us out there right now. So my question for you two guys is, why not Cowser? Why do you think Carlson's playing out there? Or would you play Cowser out there right now?
Oh, I certainly would play Cowser. I was actually just going to bring that up because, I mean, Cowser's your center fielder right now until they sign someone else, but I mean, he's your best outfielder. I mean, again, borderline Gold Glover out there. But what I think it is, I think Carlson's a Mancelino guy from previous relationships, previous coaching stints, and whatnot. And I think he thinks very highly of him defensively based on what he said earlier in the year when he took over. And, you might see that start to change more. I do think Jeremiah Jackson is definitely making a spot potentially for himself. He might be better off in left field than right field. I don't know. He's typically an infielder that they're throwing out there. So there you go, John. There's an infielder they're just throwing around. I mean, based on when we get to some of this free agency stuff, and this is just me spitballing, I mean, they might consider moving one of these younger guys out to the outfield. I don't know. I personally, I wouldn't mess with your infield. I think it's solid outside of first base. So I don't know if I'd move any of those guys out in the outfield, but maybe move some things around, try to figure some things out. But no, John, I don't know how you feel. I mean, I'm fine with Kowser out there. I think it's better. I mean, I will say the last thing before I go to John is that with Mike Elias wants to have all of these potential prospects that are going to go into the majors. They want them to complete each level and like have a season at each level. He's very big on that. Always has been. So if he can get Basayo all the way through one full season at AAA, especially for where it doesn't necessarily mean anything until like their season's over, then you can bring them up. Same thing with Beavers. I think they want these guys to complete an entire year at that level. So I think that's why they do that. This organization is real big on that.
Yeah, I saw something about that too on both sides of the, trying to see if, Basayo could win the, rookie of the year, and then we get an extra draft pick and doing these other things. But no, I like Kowser in center field. I think unless they're going to go out and get somebody, or unless they, had a handshake agreement with Mullins that they're, going to bring him back, I think Kowser's our center fielder for the time being. And I don't know why you're not moving him there, but again, I think there's that relationship there between Carlson and between Mancelino that he's going to be there. But then I guess your other problem is then okay, you move Kowser to center field. Does that make your outfield defense any better by then trying to fit Carlson or somebody else into left field, and then not having Laureano over there in right field with the cannon? And O'Neill's got a strong arm too, so that's not a knock against O'Neill, but I think Laureano was a little bit better defender than O'Neill is. And then you're kind of risking your outfield defense, a little bit in that case. But no, I really do think Kowser's end should be center field, but it just we're not making the calls. They don't listen to us, and there's a reason they're getting paid, but we're not.
Well, Mike, you asked the question. What do you think?
No, you ask Mancelino, and he talked about making him feel comfortable at the plate because he was struggling. He didn't want to move him from left to center because he felt like that might impact his already maybe fragile psyche at the plate. I don't know. I guess kind of what it sounded like if you listen to Mancelino's comments, the fact that he might be struggling a little bit at the plate, he didn't want to add to potential struggles there. And there's a mental part of the game of baseball, but I think he's the best guy for that job right now that we have on our current roster. I mean, if you look in the minors, Beavers, maybe Bradfield eventually, both those guys have more walks than strikeouts this year. Right about that. I mean, they have a good batter's eye. They play good defense. I wouldn't mind. Maybe that's the thought process. It's like, okay, one of those guys is going to come up. Let's just keep Kowser where he's comfortable. Let's let him be a left fielder for the next 6-7 years, whatever, and just leave him there. So that could be the answer to it. I'm not 100% certain, but if you were looking at the roster makeup currently, yes, he should be playing center field right now, especially after what I saw from Carlson today in center. And Jason, maybe I'm quick to judge because it was, he's got to get used to it a little bit. Maybe he needs 5 or 6 games out there to feel comfortable, but he just looked a little uncomfortable out there today after playing corner for the most of the season. So maybe I need to give him a little bit of a free pass out there today.
Yeah, and look, I mean, he's not an everyday center fielder, but if you need him to fill in once or twice every once in a while, there's absolutely, but if he will get exposed, apparently, if he's out there like this. And you know that unfortunately, you did mention it's being a mental part of the game. You do carry some of that out from what happens at the plate out into the field sometimes. Even like these guys are professionals, they do it, but I mean, they're human, you know, and it's tough to sometimes shake off. Like, what did you say? Like 1 for 30 or something like that. Like that's a lot. You know, I know like just playing like through high school. I mean, I struggled same way. Like when you struggle to play, it affects you in every aspect. So it is tough. And I mean, that was nowhere near what these guys do on a daily basis. So I guess this is perfect time to talk about the much too early free agency list, I guess, for this off season. I think this is a very critical and crucial offseason for the Orioles and Mike Elias, because if he doesn't hit this, I think this is going to be it for Mike Elias and the gang, unfortunately. I think as much as they want to keep this kind of stuff in house, like it's now becoming apparent around Major League Baseball that he does not put the best team on the field at the major league level. And that is something that he has to address this offseason, Mike. If he doesn't, he's not long for this job. So, I mean, there's some very intriguing names in free agency. But I do think that, like, I haven't even looked at the pitcher list because I think most of the damage in pitching is going to happen through trades. Well, you guys, I know, broke down a lot of the trades that happened and whatnot, but a lot of those names, everyone just needs to keep in mind that could be trade bait for this year's offseason. All those guys they brought in, they could all be gone. Half of them could be gone. Yeah, you know, it's because like the Heston Kjerstad, it's not, his value isn't really anywhere anytime right now. So got to dig from somewhere, Mike. But yeah, that very intriguing list here.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Jason. And we kind of brought that up. You know, the difference in maybe taking a little. We wanted to get players that were ready for the major leagues next year because we want to compete in 2026. But clearly, that wasn't available on the trade market. What was available was younger prospects. So you don't sacrifice the quality of a player just because they're closer to the major leagues. So what you do is you still get the best prospects you can. And now, if they're younger, you package them, like you said, Jason, and maybe you go out and get a quality starter for a couple of these younger guys to add to your rotation for next year. As you look through some of the names, you know, I've been yelling for someone who can get on base for I don't know how many months now. So I saw Luis Arias' name on there, and he immediately popped to me as somebody who will hit for average and get on base. Now, the question is, where do you play him? Because he's not a great defender. He can play second base. He can play first base. He could probably play DH. That's probably the limitations of him. But if you can work him into some type of rotation where he can play second base, you know, once or twice a week, maybe if Gunnar gets a rest, Holiday can play short and he can play second, that kind of thing. Maybe if Mayo needs a rest or whoever's playing first base needs a rest, you can mix him in there or play DH. So he's a guy to me that shines on the top of the list. Guys like Alex Bregman, you know, if he decides to head into free agency again, would be intriguing to me. What do you do, Jason? I know you talked about you like a makeup of our current infield. Would you mess with the roster construction of our current infield to get Alex Bregman on your team and then potentially have to move one of these other guys? I don't know. Maybe Jackson Holiday can play the outfield somewhere and you can slide Westy to second. Like, it's a possibility, but sometimes I think we're too closed-minded about some of these things where we need to actually look into adding some of these veteran pieces to our team and see how the roster kind of turns over from there. So I would be curious, you know, Kyle Tucker's an outfielder who's available. Obviously, he's top of the market. I don't know if we'll be able to get him. Schwarber's a free agent after this year. All he's done is hit 40 plus bombs over the last 4 years. So, you know, if you want a guy like that on your team. So it's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by about 5 different guys on this list. The one thing I will say, I do think that Westberg, Gunnar, and Holiday are off limits. I think those are as close to untouchable as you could possibly get. But I do wonder, like, if they do make a play for a Bregman, although who's going to be 32 years old next year, I believe. Like, if you do something like that, then maybe you trade one of these young guys. But I mean, outside of a Scooble or Skeens guy. There you go, John. Finally, Skeens. I brought it up for you. Or one of these guys. Like I mean, who are these guys going to bring back that I'd be interested in giving a 5 or a 7 day a week player for every fifth day guy? So I would. It's tough to say I want a Bregman unless you're going to move one of these guys to DH or the outfield. The intriguing name for me would be Kyle Tucker. Now, Connor Newcomb over at Locked On Orioles is convinced he is going to be a Yankee. Connor's very smart, bright guy. I hope to God he's wrong, but that would be, if they want to make a splash, that's who I would go. You said top of market, Mike. Fine. But let's just play a quick game here. Say he does go, like they don't go after him, but then you can get two guys. Let's go get Kyle Schwarber and then maybe try to fit a Bregman in there. Or how about Pete Alonso? Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber sound perfect to me. That changes your entire lineup structure. Then you go work on your pitching. I mean, to me, that would be a very big splash. Now, if you don't get if you don't get Alonso, you can always look at who's it, Josh Naylor. I mean, he's out there. Now, again, these are going to be very sought after guys, John. But to me, it's very important that they make a splash offensively and solidify their pitching staff.
Yeah, I think so too. And as I look at this list of people who are available, there's quite a few first basemen that I would love to see come to Baltimore on a, 1, 2, maybe 3-year deal. Like you already mentioned a couple names. You got the Alonso and the Naylor, but there's also, a couple guys who are a little bit older that you might get in. We talked about them needing veteran leadership. You bring in a guy like a Paul Goldschmidt or a Carlos Santana or a Max Muncy from the Dodgers. Maybe bring in one of these first basemen just for a year or two who can play first base, who can also do the DHing for you. And then you kind of try to hope that they can solidify this, and they're not going to be a young team forever, but, solidify this young team, bringing some veteran leadership. And then also maybe then getting an actual defensive outfielder, bringing in like a Luis Robert will be a free agent, but I think he's going to request too much money. And I don't think the Orioles are going to pay it. But if you could bring in a guy like that too, along with a veteran first baseman, and then bringing in, a starter of some sort in I don't think we're going to be able to get Kershaw, but, in a mold like that, just a 1, 2, 3-year rental who could at least bring
John, wait a
veteran
minute,
leadership
John.
in and help.
John, no. This thought, like this way of thinking has gotten us right where we are now. Why do we want to be here? Like you're thinking like the Orioles of last year and the Elias regime. We're thinking bigger. Mike and I are tired of this. We want them to go out and we want them to somehow take from all of the Yankees and the Dodgers and these guys. We want them to bid with the big boys. Okay, you don't need to do it for every single player, but you need to go out and get significant additions. And Paul Goldschmidt, I'm sorry, he sits 3 or 4 times a week right now. Like guys like this need to stay where they are. They're perfect for a team like the Yankees or somebody like that. The Orioles need to solidify certain positions and do it with guys that are going to be able to play 5-6 times a week. So, Mike, with that being said, have you had a chance to look at the starting pitching, and what do you think? Who would be? I mean, again, I don't know if they're going to pay these guys, but what would be your wish list as far as about 2 or 3 different guys on that list?
Well, I mean, first of all, I agree with you that I think the trade market, they're going to at least go and get one pitcher via trade. But they need more than one pitcher, let's be honest. So, and there's a ton of pitching out there on the market. Not everybody's obviously going to have a great year. You saw that this year with the guys that were signed in free agency. There were a lot of injuries. There were a lot of people who've underperformed, but some of these guys are bound to perform well. Intriguing options: Michael King, Shane Bieber, to me is an intriguing option. I mean, you're not gonna. I don't think you want to go the route of what we did this year, which is finding these aging veteran guys. So to me, I'd like to see somebody like that. And if you're looking at bullpen, I believe I saw Devin Williams' name on there. And I know he's had a tough time in New York, but how good would he look in a bounce back season, maybe in a setup role in Baltimore? To me, I think that would be an intriguing option for the Orioles to take a look at that. And just one real quick thing, outfield wise, we talked about the fact that Kyle Tucker might be available. But I think they need to just be a little bit creative with what they're thinking. They maybe find a veteran guy like an Arozarena out there. I think he could play well. George Springer, I know he's a little bit older, but these are good players. Like maybe add some real depth that has done it before and think about going that route instead of taking a flyer on a Ramon Laureano. And they hit on that ticket this year and a Dylan Carlson. Find somebody who's proven it, done it over and over again, and maybe add a couple of those guys to your outfield.
Well, there's a former MVP on that list too, in the outfield list. And I would be extremely interested. Like I was more curious to see how he would bounce back this year, but Cody Bellinger, I mean, he is putting up some pretty decent numbers with the Yankees. I mean, he would be one of those unassuming moves. And again, I know not everyone's a big fan, but Tyler O'Neill has an entire offseason to, maybe figure out if he can bring back what he did last year or get hurt again. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, look, the guy's not leaving your roster. He's on your roster. So you do have that, unless you package him away with someone else. But specifically pitching, Mike, what you said, I mean, probably my number one guy on this list is Michael King. He is, I think, one of the younger ones at the top there. And I mean, Zach Allen struggled a little bit. Cease struggled, but I am still very high on Dylan Cease. Probably my top three: Michael King, Framber Valdez, and who's the other guy here? Woodruff, Brandon Woodruff. And I know he has a mutual option with Milwaukee, but he has pitched very well since coming back from that injury that he had. If they could somehow pry him away for like a 2 or 3 year deal. And again, the way that you do this with these free agent pitchers is you just pay them a ton of money for shorter contracts. And if you're still getting the same deal now, I don't know, the players are obviously going to want more years and more security. But again, if you can lure these guys out there, John, with more money, then that's what I would do. I guess, so if you guys had to choose, give me 3 players, and I'll start with you, John. Give me 3 players, your top 3 wish lists that you want the Orioles to bring in during the offseason next year. Now, assuming all of these guys are free agents.
Yeah, I would love to see Shane Bieber. I would love to see him being brought in along with oh shoot, my screen just collapsed. Oh my goodness.
It doesn't just have to be pitchers. Give me 2 pitchers and 3 position players.
Okay. Yeah. I would love to see Bieber come over, and then maybe somebody like a Nestor Cortez or a Cal Quintrell, somebody like that who may not request as much money, but still has pitched in big games, has still done it for a while. One of those 2 guys might be at the middle to the front of our of our rotation. So a Bieber and a Quantrill or a nasty Nestor, something like that. And then bat wise, I agree with what you guys were saying, with the Bregman, but I'd love to see like an Alonso and then maybe a Schwarber and even like a Marcelo Zuna, who's 30, he's 34, but he can DH and he can play, a couple different spots in the outfield for you. Plus give you a pretty decent bat, and he's older. He still got a little bit of speed on his side.
John, you should probably check your phone. I'm sure Mike Elias is going to be calling you and offering you a job here shortly, since you seem to save him a lot of money.
Fantastic.
Oh, great. Mike, please help.
I'm gonna go with John Means and Kyle Gibson. They're still out there.
Great. End of the show.
Quick too, before I do my pitchers, I misspoke because I'm on a list that has 2025 and 26. So like Rosarena is a 2026 guy, and so is Springer. So anyway, talking back to the pitchers, I would love to see Michael King, Jason. I think I agree with you on that one. I think he's a younger guy, makes a lot of sense. He's done it in the American League and the National League. I think he has a good track record. Yeah, another pitcher that's interesting. I saw him pitch today is Ranger Suarez. Another lefty maybe in the rotation. I'd be curious to see what he looked like. Add him to Trevor Rogers. Have two lefties in the rotation. I'd be okay with that as well. Looking at the fielders that are available again, Arias. I want to bang that drum till I die, probably. On base percentage guy, and then if I have to go another position player, I think I'd like to see us get Kyle Schwarber, not only because he hits bombs, but because he gets on base. Like, he knows how to get on base. He has a very high on base percentage. I think he has the highest OPS in Major League Baseball right now. And I think that you lose sight of the fact, because he's just a bigger guy, that he gets on base a lot, even though he doesn't steal a ton of bases. But he gets on base a lot. So those would be two guys I'd like to see.
Well, my predictions will be, or my wish list is based on the fact that Kyle Tucker is not going to be anything but a Yankee or a Dodger or something. But that would be number one on my list by far, like hands down. But so assuming that he cannot, Pete Alonso is number one on my list. Kyle Schwarber is 1A on my list. And then I like Alex Bregman, but I don't see how it would fit. I really don't. Even if they got creative, I don't see how it would fit. But those two additions, and then as far as pitching goes, I'd say Michael King and Framber Valdez and Brandon Woodruff. Two of those three or one of those three, I think changes your entire outlook of everything. So we'll have plenty of time to discuss all of that. I don't know how much of that is realistic and whatnot. Yes, John, how may I help you?
One question for you guys. Yeah, I did. And he said, I'll offer you a 5-year contract for $1 million a year, as long as you're the face. And
that doesn't sound like Mike Elias, John.
And when we make mistakes, your face will be all over it. So that's great. No. So if we bring one guy back who we traded, who is it?
One guy back,
Jason?
who we traded?
One guy back out of all the guys we traded.
Well, the only one that makes sense would be Ryan O'Hearn. I mean, unless they don't pay. Ryan O'Hearn, I don't even need to explain it. That would be the one.
Yeah. Maybe Dominguez. I don't know. I love how he developed that splitter. Not that they need to bring him back necessarily, but I really don't think they're going to bring any of those guys back, if you're going to be honest. And the guy I think they should really think about maybe bringing back, and I say that because his contract is expiring, is Zach Eflin. I think they should think about maybe extending him, but we'll see. We don't extend anybody, so we'll see how that goes.
No, Zach Eflin, Mike, I don't think they have a choice but to bring him back, because, what are they going to sell us on? Kyle Bradish, Wells, but they may move into the bullpen. I guess they're saying Grayson, he is should be ready by spring training, but I've heard that before. So what does that tell you? I'm not sure. John, what's your thought? Oh, John's on the telly. Okay, that's great. Mike Elias.
He's on the phone with his agent. I'm trying to figure out what Elias is going to get.
Lifetime supply of Cheetos, Mike. Lifetime supply of Cheetos.
Mike Elias just gave me a lifetime supply of boardwalk fries, crab cakes, and beer at Camden Yards.
Well done.
He'll pay me nothing, and I'll like it.
Only for 1 year, though. He only offers 1 year deals at a time, so just 1 year.
So, John, who are you bringing back?
I would bring back O'Hearn of all the traded. I know there's a lot of people, and I've seen this on blog boards and stuff. Where we need Cedric back. We want to. No, we don't. Like we talked about before, when he's an average center fielder in terms of defense, and he's too streaky of a hitter. He's not reliable enough. He's not going to be worth it.
See, if we do this right and they fill these gaps and they bring in big difference-making guys, I'm sorry, Ryan O'Hearn isn't on that list, and there's no room for him. If they go out and they get a legitimate Naylor or Alonso, or even who's your boy again, Mike? that you like
Arias.
and yeah, Arias, and put him at first base. Like that's not really the production that you want out of your first baseman. It's more of a production out of your second baseman. But I'll take it anywhere you can get it. Like right now, you got too many sub 250 hitters on this team. Like go out there and fix your problems. And like the whole Astros thing was built on guys that got on base. They took lots of pitches and they got on base. This team takes lots of pitches. But they don't have positive results from those at bats. So you need to get in there and fix a couple things here. I mean, Laureano should not be your best hitter on a team that is competing for the World Series. So okay, so I'm cool with leaving it at that. That's my mic drop, even though my name's Jason.
Jason,
but I should just leave it at that. So, okay, John. Well, I catch my breath here. Oh, that's fine. You can tell people where they can find us.
Yeah, you can find us on all the social media sites on X and Instagram. On X, we're at crabcake_sports. On Instagram and Facebook, we're at dadbods, crabcakes, and sports. You can find us at you can email us and at dadbods, crabcakes, and sports at gmail.com. And who knows, we may shout you out on the next episode or use some of your ideas on our next show. So we're on at usually about 9:35 every Sunday and Wednesday night. You can catch us live as we've had quite a few viewers tonight, and we'd really love for your participation and to help our show grow. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Please like, follow, and auto download. It helps us move up the charts and spread the good news about Baltimore sports, crab cakes, and dad bods all over the country and all over the world.
Fabulous. All right, continue. You may play the music now. Yay. All right. We are now going to play our favorite game show, which is Dad Bod Sports Trivia, the most popular game in all the land. So I believe Mike.
Jeopardy, Jason.
Oh, what did
trivia.
I say?
Yeah, you said trivia.
Oh, it's the same thing. But yes, we're playing Dad Bod Sports Jeopardy, which is a sports trivia game.
Oh, man. All right, I got to host this week because I lost. That's how this works for those of you who are first-time listeners. And if you lose, you become the host, and you become the next Alex Trebek or, God rest his soul. So tonight we have, as usual, 3 categories, and then we have clues for 100, 500, and 1,000 in each category. And then we'll have a final Jeopardy question in which you can wager as much or little as you'd like, as long as you have money to wager, John. So just letting you know, you need to have money to wager at the end of this bad boy. All right.
That has not been my problem lately. That has been your and Jason's problem.
All right. Trash talk. Let it happen. That's part of this game. It's a natural part of the game. So tonight's categories, gentlemen, you got something to write this down.
Yep.
Birdland nicknames, QBU, and fantasy studs. And we're talking about football, not what you're thinking about in your dreams. So make sure you keep that PG, people.
Oh, I thought we were talking about horses.
Yeah. Jimmy's not on today, so we're keeping this category to things I know. All right.
What was the QB one? QB what? U?
QBU, like university. Perfect. QBU. So,
right.
The first one, Birdland nicknames, is an Oriole. QBU, I'm going to give you a year and the college that they played at. So the year they played in Baltimore and the college they played at. You're getting 2 clues with that one. And you have to figure out who the quarterback is. All right. Perfect. And then the third category is fantasy studs. And this is all time. So I'm going to give you a season and the stats, and you got to tell me who the player is. All right.
Fantastic.
All right. So
John, you get to go first.
John, you have control.
Let's go QBU for 100.
All right. So again, this is the year they played for the Ravens and the college they attended. And if they played for multiple years, I just picked a year. 2010, Delaware.
John. Joe Flacco.
Correct. 100 points to you.
Let's go QBU for 500.
1998, Michigan.
Jason.
John
Harbaugh, or Jim Harbaugh, pardon me.
Ooh, good save. That is correct. Jim Harbaugh. 500 points for Jason.
I'll do it for 1,000.
All right, for 1,000. 2005, University of South Carolina.
South Carolina? Huh.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boop, boop, boop. I need a button that makes that noise. That would be great.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
Oh, 2005? It's 2005. He only played 1 year with the Ravens? Is that what
No,
that
he
was?
played multiple years. It
Oh,
was
okay.
Anthony Wright.
Ah, that's right. Ha.
Anthony Wright.
Huh.
All right. So
All
that
right.
category is completed. What do we want next?
Let's do Birdland nicknames for 100.
All right. Birdland nicknames for 100. I'm going to give you the nickname and the years they played in Baltimore. So, Crush, 2011 to 2020.
John.
Jason.
John, go ahead.
Chris Davis.
Correct.
Let's do Birdland nicknames for 500, please.
All right. He played from 76 to 86. El Presidente.
Jason. Dennis
Jason.
Martinez.
That is correct.
All right, so we're killing these 500 and these 100 ones, but that's about it. All right, so I'll do it for 1,000. Birdland nicknames, please.
Birdland nicknames for 1,000. 65 to 81. The Blade.
You said 65 to 81?
Yes. 5.
John.
John.
Jim Palmer.
Nope.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Incorrect.
I don't know. I was just thinking of somebody who was playing all those years.
He was Cake, I think, wasn't he? 5, 4 cakes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It wasn't. It's not Paul Blair, right?
Dan knows. Go ahead, Dan. What do you got?
Blade.
Dan, who is it?
Dan,
This
5,
is great podcasting,
4,
everyone.
3,
This is great.
2, 1. Let's see if he gets it right. It's Mark Belanger.
I didn't
Mark
think he
Belanger.
played. See, that's who I thought it was, but I didn't think he played from 65 with the Orioles.
That's what my research said.
I thought Belanger was much later.
Yeah, I
Unless
thought he
looked-
was 70s to Roden Ripken. when
I
Yeah.
could have
Ripken
looked
came up.
wrong, but anyway, Dan got it right, so that's good. Dan knew.
Well, oh man, let's see. Hold on. Oh no, no,
right.
no. He did. He played from 65 up to 81. Oh, good job, Mike.
Good
Making
job.
me
That's a
second
good
guess
one,
myself. I
Mike.
was sweating there for a second. All right, so
All right, so
nobody got
Well, ever
that.
since that Mark McGuire clue, I'm not taking Jason seriously.
No, I wouldn't either.
Oh my! You are still
okay.
you are living in the past, my friend.
Okay, so the current score is Jason with 1,000 and John with negative 800, but still three.
And Dan has 1,000, right?
And Dan has 1,000.
All right, there we go.
All right. So last category, fantasy studs for 100, Mike.
All right, again, remember these are not your fantasies; these are football players. All right. First, you said 100, Jason. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
All right. The year was 2018. This player amassed 417 fantasy points with 5,097 passing yards and 50 passing touchdowns.
$2018, Jason.
Jason,
Patrick Mahomes.
that is correct. 100 points to you.
I'll do it for 500, please, for fantasy studs.
All right. The year was 2000. The player had 419 fantasy points, 1,359 rushing yards, and 18 touchdowns, 830 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns.
John.
Jason.
John.
Edgerrin James.
Incorrect.
Nope,
Oh,
that
no,
is
it's Marshall.
incorrect.
Marshall Falk.
That is correct. 500 points. That was a 1,000-point swing there, Johnny boy.
Yep. I lost.
You lost before the game started, John. Sorry.
Yeah, I need to drink. I need to drink more and play this game.
I warned
Oh,
you
my.
prior to about the negativity points, right? So anyway,
All right, let's do her for 1,000, Mike.
all right. The year was 2011. 263 fantasy points with 1,681 receiving yards, 96 receptions, and 16 receiving touchdowns.
What year was it? I'm sorry, you said 2011?
2011. Five.
Since I lost and I'll be in the negative regardless, John.
Good, John.
We're gonna go with Megatron.
That is correct. Calvin
Yay!
Johnson. Well done. 1,000 points for John.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still not out of the hole.
Well, okay. You got to give me a second here. There's so many negative things to add up here.
We try to keep it positive here at Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports, but John likes to once in a while throw some negativity at us.
Negative 200, I believe. I don't even know.
If I would have just said Marshall Falk instead of Edger, I had two names in my head. If I would have picked
you falked yourself, John. You falked yourself. Not good. All right. So we're keeping it clean though for the rest of the show. We have a final Jeopardy category of all the hits. All the hits.
Okay. And only Dan and I are allowed to play?
Only Dan and Jason get to play. John, you can. I would like to hear what your answer is, though, so you can kind of
all the
fake
hits
play,
as in baseball or as in hockey or as in football.
Well, I mean, I didn't tell you, but it's
or music or.
Oh yeah, right. That's why it's the open-ended. It's mysterious.
I love it.
All right, you guys ready? What do you?
Yes.
Ready? Okay, here we go. Cal Ripken is the all-time hits leader for the Orioles with 3,184. This player is second with 2,848. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and start with John, who had negative 200. Can't see it, but he said Brooks. Is that Brooks Robinson?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry to say you are correct.
Why are you sorry?
I don't know. Just
because
I had negative. To fool him, but I was sad about the negativity. But good job, buddy. You got that correct. So. You doubled your negative 200, so now you have negative 400. So good job. Jason put Brooks all points, I think. Is that right?
Yes. I risked all my points. And may
what
God
Brooks?
have mercy.
Brooks Jacoby or Brooks Robinson?
Whatever Brooks you want, buddy. Whatever Brooks you want.
Well done,
Brooks
sir.
Robinson.
That is correct.
Well done.
Good job, Jason.
What was his name? Real quick, to combine that with our another category, what was his nickname? His
human
Birdland
vacuum
nickname?
cleaner.
Human vacuum cleaner.
Correct. The human vacuum cleaner. I didn't want to give you that clue earlier because I know it was too easy. But anyway, well done, Jason. You are the champion. John, you are the loser. You get to be the Alex Trebek for the next episode of Dad Bods.
Yay.
That sounds good to me.
All right. All right, fellas. Let's talk some Ravens training camp. And I guess we should preview their game tomorrow night. They are playing the Indianapolis Colts. So has anybody seen anything in training camp that has, let's just start it off by just asking, has anyone seen anything surprise you, anything standing out? I mean, no major injuries, which are good besides the Isaiah Likely won a couple weeks ago. But Mike, anything standing out for you? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Not particularly. I know there was a little scuffle, I guess, between the Colts and the Ravens with Nate Wiggins. I guess he was sticking up for a teammate and kind of went a little bit overboard with the fisticuffs. But I think that's a natural part of these practices. They want an uptick in intensity level when you have these types of practices. That's part of the point of practice, and to not constantly be hitting your own guys over and over again. So I think that's really good. You know, Steve mentioned Charlie Kohler. He did have a heck of a day the other day, not only blocking, but catching a few, really good in coverage, tight coverage passes. So that's encouraging given the fact that Likely's out for a little bit of time. And then for me, we talked about Tez Walker and just his ability to kind of make contested catches and just be consistent more so this year. And then Tyler Loop, making all the kicks. He's 93% on the preseason so far. So my biggest concern, and John, you said this, I think, when we talked about our biggest concerns going into camp, was the kicking game, because it feels like we have this mega team and we're really deep at all these positions, but you know how much of a game can come down to a kicker. So I'm really encouraged to see the fact that he looks like he's getting more comfortable and actually enjoying the spotlight a little bit. Like he showed at the M&T Bank practice the other day.
Yeah, and it's funny to me with the whole kicker thing, because I just haven't really let it take up too much space in my brain. Because if it turns out that the kicking position doesn't, this kid is not the one, then they move forward and they sign a free agent of somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, or you know what I mean, like 10 years, 12 years, and they just bring someone in to get the job done, and we start this over again. I mean, it's great to only have two kickers in your franchise history, really, that have taken up the majority of the roster space, right? I mean, we had the Cundiff situation. We had Hauschka, Gano came and tried out for a while. But majority has been Stover and Tucker. And then the 1 year with Cundiff. So whatever happens in my eyes, John, I mean, I'm okay with. If the kicking situation, I'm all for this kid. I hope he's here for the next 10 years. But if not, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. He's hitting, basically everything 50 and in, 50 and over. He's having some problems, but he's nailing it from 68. So, I'll be very thrilled if he hits every kick inside of 45 yards. If he's a little suspect beyond 50, I'll take that, with a rookie kicker, because if we look at these experienced guys who are out there on the market, they're all older. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to be good inside of 45, where at least he gives us a chance outside of 50, outside of 60, outside of 65. So I'll take the good with the bad with this. But I'm going to agree with Steve here that I think one of the biggest things, and Lamar just talked about this today, was that Kohler is getting a great feel for the game. He's looking a little like Mark, a little like Isaiah out there in his own way, but he's coming along great. And that's really, really good to hear. That I think that, just in a little bit we saw last year of Kohler, that he can make the plays. He's a fairly athletic guy, but he's a much better blocker than I think both Andrews and Likely, which will then, really benefit our offense down the road. And, Tez Walker making the plays, and then even Hopkins showing, up as DeAndre Hopkins. That's going to be a huge thing in our offense as well. So everything I think is looking offensively and defensively, looking as best I think as could be expected.
And Mike, do you think, as far as the wide receiver core goes, do you think the last three wide receivers in there, I'm assuming they keep six. If they keep six, I'm thinking Wallace, Wester, and Walker would be the last three that they keep. Is there anyone else that's standing out to you that would get snatched up right away on the practice squad that they wouldn't be able to put down there?
I mean, not particularly. They said Anthony Miller is playing well, but he's more of a veteran guy. And to me, I think the fact that if you get one of these younger guys and they're more consistent, then I would take him over Miller on the squad. Dayton Wade has impressed in training camp, not only last year but this year. So he's one of those guys. I read an article on Ravens Wire today that is someone we should maybe keep an eye on during the game tomorrow night and see if he flashes at all. And somebody they should really keep an eye on. It's hard when we actually have a really good deep receiving room to make the team at this point. I don't know if he flashes, then it's harder to keep him on your practice squad. But he is somebody we could probably sneak onto the practice squad, at least at this point in his career.
Yeah, and one of the things Kevin Oestreicher said today from Locked On Ravens was he feels strongly that Wester will make the team mainly because of the special teams ability. But I mean, he also can catch football as well. So, and stretch the field a little bit if you needed another wideout out there for whatever reasons, injuries, or just stretch the field, like I said. But that's another big thing for me. Like we keep talking about the kicking game, but special teams as a whole. I mean, after all the rule changes last year, all the teams got a chance to kind of sit back and see what happened, what needs to happen going forward to be able to improve the game. So for me, Mike, I mean, if they have a guy again, and again, Kevin said this as well, they haven't had a guy impact the game on that side of the field since Jacoby Jones. So anybody that could do that, I mean, that's just, again, makes his team even more lethal.
I mean, I would say that Justice Hill had a pretty good impact on the special teams as a gunner. But like as far as a return man, no, we haven't had anybody in that ilk since. And the Tylan Wallace had that one run back. Was it against Minnesota? I can't remember. Is that right?
Rams.
The
Rams.
Oh, the Rams. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Rams,
against the Rams.
So
right.
he had that one game under in overtime with the Rams. So I think you got to look for those guys when you're looking at the back end of your receiving room that are going to be contributors on special teams as well. But youth makes a difference. And you know what? Someone's going to get hurt. It's just one of those things where, especially in those positions where you're cutting all the time, your defensive backs, your receiving room, someone's going to get hurt. So the more depth you have, it's a good problem to have. So it's not like we're going to be scouring the waiver wire like we usually are. Hopefully we have some in-house options to go to.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a time of year where it's like guys are fighting for roster spots. John, is there anyone that you've read up on or seen that could surprise this team and be able to make the roster that they didn't expect maybe at the beginning of camp?
I don't know. Like, the Ravens have a consecutive season streak of what? Is it like 16 or something where they've always kept an undrafted player? There's something like that. It's like 16 or 18 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. They're one of the few teams that do that each and every year.
Well, you look at the guys on the roster that do that. It's just right now it's just hard. It's hard to find, okay, what other depth piece do they need that an undrafted guy is going to bring in? Is it going to be in my opinion, it's going to have to be, and again, I don't know any names specifically off the top of my head, but it's going to have to be like a linebacker or somebody who's going to be a contributor, on the special teams to be able to make this squad. Because, we're already, 6 deep at the wide receiver. We're 3 deep or 4 deep at the running back. We're, 3 deep at the wide receiver or at the tight end. We have our offensive line, defensive line, and cornerbacks and defensive backs all set up. So it's going to have to be some sort of linebacker or somebody who's going to be a huge contributor on the special teams, on the punt coverage team, something like that.
Mike, I'll ask you the same question.
I mean, keep an eye on number 30 cornerback Ruben Lowry. He's apparently caught the eye of a few people during camp. I know he was originally a corner, but he's been playing a little bit of safety too and kind of rotated into that position. And, I think, Kane and Braid are probably ahead of him on the depth chart at this point. But, you never know. If he flashes in the preseason games and he's the better player, there's always a chance. And that's a place maybe we're a little thinner than in other positions. Maybe a defensive tackle shines that we're not expecting because there's a little bit of depth there. But I don't think, John, you make a great point that we're deep at a lot of different places. So I don't think there's a ton of opportunity for some of these no-name players to make the team.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that's all I have specifically for the Ravens. Is there anything you guys wanted to go? I guess we should. Well, they do play the Colts. I mean, this is. I mean, I was gonna just mention like this is my least favorite part of football. I hate preseason. I want nothing to do with preseason games. I hate it. Like, there's nothing that can ruin an NFL season like preseason football. You lose one of these guys, and oh my goodness. So no, I hate preseason, hate everything about it. I will watch it just a little bit here and there. But no, I want it to be over as fast as possible.
So I have a quick question for you guys. So we'll be tuning in tomorrow night for the preseason game versus the Colts. I think it's on NFL Network if you're looking to find it. But what is one thing that you are looking to see out of the preseason game tomorrow? So, like, if you're going to hone in on one specific thing that you'd like to see from this team, what would that one thing be? And I'm going to start with you, John.
I want to see what kind of pass rush we can generate with our second and third string defensive linemen without having Mbike and Matabike and having Owe and those guys in there. I want to see if Green plays, if he's as good as can be expected, and then what kind of what kind of pass rush we can generate with just our down 3 or down 4 without blitzing, without doing those other things.
Jason,
what about you?
Yeah, I'd like to see what. Now, I'm assuming Cooper Rush is playing. I'd like to see what the backup QB guys are, what they're able to do with the offense, what type of continuity they have with the offense. Can they run the offense? Can they do it effectively? Because you never know when if Lamar gets dinged up, has to miss a week or two. You want your guys to be able to step right in. I haven't heard some really good things so far about Cooper Rush. They paid him an awful lot of money to be a backup quarterback and just sit and hold the clipboard. So I'm hoping that the time he gets to play can work out whatever rust. So to me, that's one of the things I'd like to focus on. What about you, Mike?
No, I mean, you're not going to see Lamar. You're not going to see Derrick Henry. You're not going to see a lot of the star players, playing. But to me, then you really want to hone in on those position battles where there is something to be said about the safety that makes this team on the back end. So between Braid and Kane and Lowry and those guys, who plays the best of those three guys, and then maybe looking at the offensive line a little bit and seeing who's your best left guard. I'm kind of curious to see that battle between Cleveland and Voorhees and see who, if it remains, Voorhees' job to lose at this point. It seems like he had a slight edge in that competition heading into Thursday night's game. So I'm just curious to see if that happens. If you're looking at the Colts side of things, Anthony Richardson's going to play, a quarter and a half or something like that, Shane Steichen said. So be curious to see what that looks like. You remember they picked up Daniel Jones, so I should assume he'll see some time. So I'll be curious to see what the Colts looks like, what the revamped Colts look like with a little Daniel Jones behind center. That'll be interesting to see.
That was actually a quarterback controversy brewing, especially in the fantasy realm of things. For the last few months, everyone thought that they're predicting that Daniel Jones would start. But once camp started, he has not been shining very brightly, and Richardson's taken kind of move forward as far as being that guy. Okay, so that actually brings us to our next segment, which is fantasy football. It is that time of year again. It is my favorite time of year. It's like Christmas for me. But I did want to just remind everybody that we are going to be doing our first ever Listener League fantasy football contest. So anyone that is interested, please send us a message on Facebook. We're going to have a Facebook post probably either tonight or tomorrow. And if you are interested, you can shoot us an email, post on Facebook, and then we will collect names and see how many different leagues we need to have. But we will definitely be doing something. Hopefully we can give away maybe a fun little prize or something. I don't know. We'll come up with something fun and exciting.
Or a punishment, Jason.
No punishments.
And no punishments.
Then maybe
we love punishments on this show. We love punishments on this show.
We do. I've never watched one episode of Scooby-Doo before. So
we found that out. You neuld never would have known unless we punished you.
Right. Nope. Goodness gracious. All right. Well, yeah. So again, fantasy football season, very, very exciting. I've already had one league draft already. And I guess everyone will start drafting here within the next couple weeks. I mean, Mike, is there anything out there that you have any questions about? Is there anything you're noticing? What are your thoughts? Are you as excited as I am?
I've been looking, this is the time of year when those reels start popping up of these fantasy experts that tell you all these different things that are going to happen. And these are the wide receivers and the running backs you're sleeping on. And these are the guys you need to go after. And I'm always skeptical, but I also like to listen just to kind of hear what they have to say about, because there are these analytics that they go through that are just so deep. And if you go to some of these websites, how many targets and, in this part of the game, or they're behind, or they're a throwing team, it's like all this different stuff. And it's almost overwhelming. So you got to finding someone else to break that down for you definitely helps. But, or maybe somebody who's going to have more value because of where they landed, because of their quarterback now is better, or, they are believe in the running game and the system that they're in. They didn't before. So there's so many factors that go into the draft part of it. And I think obviously the most exciting part of any fantasy football league is the draft itself. So that's why it's so exciting this time of year is like, all right, I've got the choice between these 5 running backs, which I did the research. Which guy is it going to be when it comes to my turn to pick? So that's the fun part of this time of year.
Absolutely. No, and for one of the best ways to kind of offset that is like when you have these 5 guys that you're focusing on, and then you can't really make a decision. If you tier your running backs and you say, I feel just as strongly as this guy to this guy, and then but not so much this guy, and then this guy, and you tier them that way. Once one, you know that feeling when you have a guy ready, and then the guy right before you steals him from you. You don't have that once you tier guys, because you're like, oh, I'm cool with this guy. That's fine. Let's pivot and we'll move forward. It's when you fall. One of the biggest mistakes I've noticed over the years are when you fall in love with certain players. Once you do that, you usually, I mean, but it's supposed to be fun. So draft the guys you like, draft the people that you want to watch as well. I mean, unless you're in an entry where it's like $400 or $500 a pop, then just have fun with it. John, what about you? I know you don't play much fantasy sports, but you do this time of year?
Yep. Yeah. Well, it always seems like I draft the guys who, the experts say, oh, this guy, draft this guy. And then something happens. Like, it's the wide receiver and their quarterback gets hurt, or they get hurt, or, these things sort of come up on my fantasy teams almost every year, and it breaks my heart. And that's why I hate like drafting and thinking, gosh, I got a great team. And then, then there's a torn ACL, and then there's a, this, that, and the other. And then you find out, oh God, Jonathan Stewart's out for the year with this, that, or the other, and then it breaks your heart. And you're like, you're looking at the rest of the teams, they're getting tons of points and you can't get anything because half your team is out,
Oh yeah, I mean they've created fantasy leagues alone. I mean it's like best ball now, where it's like you take these players and you put them on your roster, and then you don't do anything. You just keep them all in there. All their points count. Whoever scores the most points, whether they're a bench player or not, those points count towards the season, because that way these season long injuries like that, they don't hurt you as much, right? But I mean, there's ways around that though, John. Like we got to get you, we have to get you to be a really good drafter. If you draft your team well enough, one injury to you, like your first round guy, isn't going to ruin it for you. I had a couple years ago, I had last year included, I had Christian McCaffrey. And then 2 years ago, I had Christian McCaffrey when he got injured. And I still ended up winning the league because you draft well enough to be able to do that. Same thing with Justin Jefferson 2 years ago. So, John, have the faith, draft well. That would be
Steve. If you look at Steve on the chat, like Steve said, there's a guillotine league that we could join where I could play 1 week of fantasy football and that would be it. So, I mean, it might be the best cost effective measure for me. I don't know if it's less money or the same, because otherwise it's not very efficient. I should not join that league.
Yeah, so I haven't delved into that yet. I was thinking about this year would be the year I did it. But I need to read up a little bit more on that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. I believe what happens is like the lowest point teams get kicked out, but then their players get thrown onto the waiver wire. So then you can bid for the players and stuff like that. So it does get kind of cool, kind of interesting. But yeah, no, I haven't really looked into that yet. So yeah,
So Jake,
we
drafting
yeah,
one
go.
overall. You got the
One
first.
overall.
You got the first pick this year.
Oh man,
And-
that's an easy one for me. That's not even close. I mean, if I had the first pick, I would go with Jamar Chase, hands down. That
Mike?
wouldn't even be close.
Yeah,
Mike,
hands
who-
up, Jamar Chase.
Hands
Yep,
up.
same thing. Hands everywhere. Hands anywhere. Not
Oh,
anywhere.
God.
Most.
What about
places.
you, John?
I would say Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, one of the two.
See, and and it gets so my top three are Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, and who else am I missing? And Bijan Robinson. Not necessarily in that order. Bijan probably two. And then Jahmyr Gibbs somewhere in there as well. However, it all depends on what type of strategy you might be taking as a fantasy manager. There's some people out there that are real big on just value drafting, taking the best player, like looking at ADP, which is average draft position, and taking if someone's in that round and they're still there, they're real big on that. And I do think that there is some of that in everyone's strategy a little bit. But are they going hero RB, which is you take a running back early and then you leave it until you get to about the 6th or 7th round, and then you can take more running backs. But in between them, you either focus on like one of the stud tight ends or you focus on your wide receivers is really the theory. Some people like to pull a quarterback somewhere in there as well. I'm not an early quarterback drafter. I think the 10th round at least is somewhere I'd like to start thinking about that. And then there's, robust RB, where you take your running backs early and you just keep building up. Like you get Bijan and then it comes back around and you take, I don't know, Swift or somebody like that. And then you take a receiver and then maybe you'll take another running back, but you're real heavy on that position. The only problem with that is that you're leaving yourself weak in other spots. What I've noticed over the years, and not that anyone's asking for my fantasy advice, but what I've noticed over the years is that the wide receivers are what end up winning these leagues, because you might have one of the best running backs, but if you don't draft your receivers well and you don't have them come playoff time, you might be missing out on that. So that's my 2 cents on fantasy football, Mike. That's all I got for you guys today.
Well, thank you for all of your sense. I will take any advice I can get. You and the guy that's on my Facebook who keeps popping up on my reels, between the two of you guys, I should be able to make some noise this year, hopefully in Dynasty League.
Oh boy. Yeah, you should also maybe trade with me and stop rejecting all of my trades.
I know you want to trade with me. I know you want that one guy, but I don't know that I want to give him to you. I'm not sure yet. I am intrigued by the last one you sent. It was a tight end, I believe, for the wide receiver. A little intrigued by that. I heard there were some dealings going down with your tight end room. So
Yes. I do. I have 2 tight ends. I'm fine with getting rid of one of them. I have Sam Laporta and George Kittle. I am so being stacked there. Like that's another thing too for some of you guys out there. Like always try to deal from a place of strength. If you have multiple receivers that are really good or multiple tight ends in my case, but you want to improve in some other areas, you can go ahead and do that. Like Mike could use a dominant tight end. I happen to have a 23-year-old that was a number 1 tight end 2 years ago. I'm willing to part because I also have George Kittle. So it's one of those things where like a lot of people just trade for the sake of trading because they're bored. But I mean, if you can make your team better, yeah, Mike, I mean, especially with you, if you can make your team younger because you're still in that about to take off type because you had a really good draft. So the younger you can get and the better you can get at another position.
yeah. So I can't remember. You offered it was you wanted a younger receiver. You wanted Xavier Worthy.
Right. Xavier
so
Worthy.
I'd be more inclined to give you Devontae Adams than I would Xavier Worthy for Laporta because I would rather stay younger and get younger. Like,
Of
if
course
that
you
makes
would.
sense. Right.
Absolutely.
We'd all
I
love to
think,
get younger.
yeah, I think everyone would rather meet or
Yeah.
rather have give up Adams and not Worthy. But he's
Right.
33 years old. It's like I
He
can't.
might not be worthy of that. We'll see.
Yeah, unfortunately, can't pull the trigger on the old guy for the young guy.
Yeah,
I almost
get
had
it.
a deal with someone else over it, and it just didn't. It's actually Steve. I just couldn't pull the trigger because of the age gap. I couldn't do it. So, but that is that. So, you guys have anything else?
Nothing
No,
else,
I don't
Jason.
I don't think so, Jason. I'm excited to see some Ravens football tomorrow night. Even though it's that fake football that we call preseason,
Oh,
it still gets us closer to the real football, which we would love to jump right to it without having any injuries. So let's just get it rolling.
and it goes so fast. The season goes so fast. I'm telling you, especially with like playing fantasy sports and stuff. And then I'm in survivor leagues and all these things. It's boom, done. So you blink and it's over. You're in the playoffs and then you're at Super Bowl. And just a reminder for everyone, if you are interested in the fantasy league, please shoot us an email at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. That's dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. And again, we'll post on Facebook as well. And just reach out to us. Let us know if you're interested so we can get this all together. All right, Mike, you want to bring this puppy home?
Yes, it's going to wrap it up for this episode of Dad Bods, Crab Cakes and Sports. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. Please don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you find your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. Give us a like and a review and subscribe. While you're at it, we're trying to spread the good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Follow us on social media. Get an update on our fantasy football league if you want to join the action. You can find us at dadbods_crabcakes_sports on Instagram and dadbods crabcakes and sports on our Facebook page. John, we're on X now too. That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I found out X was Twitter the other day, so that's good. So I'm learning all the things.
You can still
Yeah.
call it Twitter. It's fine with me. I don't know.
Okay, good. Have a question or topic you want us to cover, hit us up at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com. You never know, we might just shout you out in our next episode. But until next time, keep rocking the dad bods, eating the crab cakes, and never miss the game.
Adios.
Sayonara.